Hi! In this video, I would like to show how to write your own weightlifting programs in Liftosaur. Liftosaur, as you maybe remember, is the most powerful weightlifting planner and tracker app. So there are two ways how you could write programs in Liftosaur. One is through UI. So basically you open the app, you tap the buttons in the app, and this way you create exercises, you add sets, etc. So this is one way. Another way, you could basically do that via plain text. And even if you use UI, actually under the hood, it just creates the plain text of a program that will be used as a source of truth by the app. So in my opinion, it's way easier to do that and also quicker in plain text. But for that, you need to learn the syntax. It's not that hard, and in this video, I'm gonna show how to do that. So we could go to liftosaur.com site. Ideally, you could do that on the laptop. It's going to be way easier. You could have you will have a keyboard that you could type with. And then you log in here, and then you go to your programs. Here, you could create a new program. So let's, for starters, create a very simple 5x5 beginner program. So I name it 5x5 beginner. All right, so in Liftosaur, the programs consist of weeks, and weeks consist of days. So when you basically finish a day, it goes to the next one. And then when you finish all the weeks and all the days, it just rotates back to the first one. So for our 5x5 program, we're just gonna have 2 days within 1 week, and then it will rotate between them day 1, day 2, day 1, day 2, etc. And let's write our program. So within the day, we just need to list all the exercises and then all the sets, reps, and progression logic that we want to have within that day. So every single kind of exercise starts with the exercise name. So this is important. For every single exercise, the first thing is an exercise name. And you could see there's auto completion, so you could choose the exercise you want if you don't want to type the full name. Let's say squat barbell. So this is actually already a program. So if we go to the playground here, and this is our super long program, we could also check what it's gonna look like in the app by enabling the playground. So this is what it's gonna look like. There are no sets defined. We could add them if we want, but for now it's kind of boring. We could make better. So after the exercise name, we do a slash, and now we specify the sections. So there's going to be a bunch of sections. Each section defines, for example, warm-ups or progression logic or sets that we're gonna do. They could go in any order. So we could say we want to do 5 sets by 5 reps, and then we could specify the weight, which, for example, 135 pounds. So this is the end of the section, and now I could do another section, for example, for my progressive overload. Let's say I want to do a linear progression. So I type progress, and then I type LP. So pay attention to all those auto-completion suggestions. They also contain a lot of information, for example, what you could specify for the linear progression, how you could tweak it and set up. So I just want a simple one that's gonna increase weight by 5 pounds every single time I finish all the sets, all the 5 sets successfully. So this is it, basically. Now I have this squat. And then I could add more. Let's say I want to do a bench press, also 5x5, 95 pounds weight. Also want to do progress, let's say 5 pounds, each time we successfully finish all sets. And what else? Let's do bicep curl. Let's do 3x5, let's say 20 pounds, weight of each barbell. And for example, for that one, we want to do double progression in the range, that will increase weight by 5 pounds, but first it will increase the reps between 8 and 12 reps. Okay, so we are basically pretty much done with our first day. So we could then go and add another day and similarly define the exercises for the second day. So let's say we do deadlift, also 5 by 5, on, I don't know, 85 pounds. Progress, LP, let's say it's going to be 10 pounds. So since this is just text, we could do all the like operations we could do like with just regular text, right? So we could, for example, get this, copy, and like, oops, paste here. And then instead of bench, it's going to be overhead. So with, say, 65 pounds. So it's pretty cool that you could basically just cut, copy, paste, like find, replace, do all those like operations that you used to do with text, like in any text editor. So this is like super convenient. And for example, I want to do pull up, I don't know, 3 times, and all the sets going to be AMRAPs. So I added this plus, so it will, the app will actually ask me how many reps did I do for pull-ups, and 0 pounds. So I'm not gonna add any additional weight, just my body weight. And that's pretty much it, right? So this is a very simple like 5 by 5 program. And at this point we can save it. Okay, now if I go to the app and I go to program, change the program, and I could see my 5 by 5 beginner program. So I could, for example, go finish all these sets for squat. Could see the weight gets increased by 5 pounds. Let's say it's done. And now if I choose the day one again, I could see that squat now is 140 pounds here. So the weight got increased successfully by 5 pounds as I specified in the program. All right, so we are back to Liftosaur.com site, and now let's talk about templates. So usually kind of in real life weightlifting program, you have maybe like 1, 2, or 3 like set schemas and progressive overload types. And you have like 15 exercises, like 20 exercises that then they all pretty much doing exactly the same kind of sets, exactly the same progressive overload logic. But it's kind of would be like really painful to change the set schemas or like, again, like progress logic in case you want to change them for like all your 20 exercises. So to solve that problem, in Liftosaur we have templates. So what is template? It looks like this. So for example, I want to define template main. So, and now it thinks that I basically want to create a custom exercise main, and I can do that if I click here, but I don't want that. I don't want like a custom exercise. So what I do, I type used none. So now it doesn't think I want to create like a custom exercise. It understands that I want to create a template. And in the template, I could specify exactly in the same way how I specify all that stuff for like real exercises. I could specify, for example, I want to do 5 by 5 and I want to do warm up. So for warm ups, I just like type warm up and then type kind of the sets in the same way as before. So 1 by 5, for example, 45 pounds, 1 by 5, 135 pounds, and 1 by 3, 185, right? And then we define some progressive overload logic, let's say linear progression with 5 pounds. So now I have this template. We can use it for real exercises. Let's say for squat, I want to reuse main. So I do ... and then main. That's it. Now basically it inherits all this stuff from the main template. But I still want to specify the weight, right? I want to override the weight that's defined in the template, which is, well, none. I'd say 250 pounds for squat. And then, for example, for the bench press, I'm also gonna reuse the template main with 200 pounds. And for bicep curl, so for the bicep curl, I probably want to use something else. Let's define another accessory template. It's not used. Let's say 3x8 default warm-ups, not gonna define them. And let's do like double progression by 5 pounds from 8 to 12 reps. All right, and now I could do ..ac. And let's say I'm gonna use 20 pounds for bicep curl. And basically I can override anything that is defined in the template just by listing it here. Like for example, for squat, for example, I don't want to do like linear progression with 5 pounds. I want to do with 10 pounds. So I type progress, LP 10 pounds. So now the squat will actually increase the weight by 10 pounds, unlike it's defined in the main template. Or for example, for bench press, I want to also use double progression, let's say from 5 to 10 reps. And that's it. That's how I override the logic. All right, I could also do the same thing. Day 2, I could just like copy this, paste this, and like deadlift, overhead press, and let's say, I don't know, skull crusher. Like 70, 135, and say 300. Okay, so this is templates, pretty simple concept, and we could check it out in the playground how it works. So if I click here, this is my program, and let's say enable playground, and this is basically what's gonna look like in the app. So I could like mark the sets completed. I could see that the squat will increase the weight next time by 10 pounds, but if I didn't finish all the reps successfully, then it will not increase the weight by 10 pounds. It's usually kind of a good habit after you are done with your program, go to the playground and check that it works before actually kind of trying to follow it. So you could basically simulate different scenarios, like how you complete the sets successfully, not successfully, with different like weights, reps, RPE, whatnot, and see that your logic works correctly, how actually you wanted it to work. And save. All right, now let's talk about multi-week programs. So the linear progression or double progression will only work for you for some time. So in a year or in a 2, eventually you're gonna hit plateau. So you will not be able to increase weight anymore every session or every like 3 sessions. And for that, people often use a thing called linear periodization. So how it works, we basically gonna create those wavy patterns week over week by changing reps or weight, again from week 1 to week 2, week 3, etc., etc. And it's gonna be like going like this, and eventually we are gonna hope that it will help us to break plateau. So maybe the most popular program that implements linear periodization like that is 531 by Jim Wendler. So let's try to implement it here using all the concepts that we already kind of know from like previously. So it's not going to be 5 by 5 anymore. Let's say it's 531. And again, so like I said, most of our exercises just going to reuse like 1 or 2 templates. So let's define our main template. And how it works, it's going to be one set of 5 reps, 65% of 1 rep max. So in Liftosaur, you can define the weight in absolute units like pounds or kilograms, or you can define it as percentage of 1 rep max. So 1 rep max is basically the weight that you could do for that exercise only once, not more. So it's going to be 65% of 1 rep max first, and then let's say 5 reps 70%, 5 reps 75%. All right, and we're gonna do that week over week for 3 weeks, and for that we could either kind of duplicate the week here. Let's do this and just modify it here. So it's going to be 3 reps 70, 3 reps 75, 3 reps 80. Or there's also a way to switch to the full kind of text program. So it's not going to give you text fields for every single day, but it's going to be just like one big text blob like this. And with those like hash characters, we could define where the week starts, where the day starts. So for example, copy it over. It's going to be week 3. And we're going to do 5 reps of 75, 3 reps of 80, and 1 rep of 85. Oh, and every single last set is going to be as many reps as possible. So the app will ask you how many reps you actually did. Okay, so now we click apply here. And we could see we have 3 weeks. And we could actually implement our first exercise, let's say squat. So we could do ... main. And we basically need to do the same thing for every single week. But it's kind of dumb, right? So we need to basically repeat the same thing over and over again for every single week. And because this is dumb, we're not gonna do that. Instead, we're gonna use a feature called repetition. So we could specify that squat gonna repeat exactly the same from week 1 to week 3. And we could see it's like now repeated exercise from a previous week. And this way we don't need to write it like for every single week. So even the full text, we could see it's only written once here. Cool, so let's basically do the same for like day 2. For example, here we do bench press. Day 3, deadlift. Day 4, 4. Overhead press. And that's it. Cool. So if we click here and scroll down a little bit, we could see basically that we're increasing intensity week over week, and the volume goes kind of down for the second week and stays the same for week 3. So week 3 gonna be kind of giving the most effort, the most intense week, and then kind of the cycle repeats. And we could also have like accessory, right? Because like if we just gonna do squat, bench, and deadlift and overhead press, this is not enough. And we can actually see why it's not enough. On the right, we have week stats, and it shows how many sets per week we're gonna have for each muscle group. So right now it's kind of low, right? So kind of it shows 5, we need more. So red, it means like outside of the recommended target. And recommended target for at least newbies is about 10 sets. For more advanced lifters, it's like 20 sets. You can control it here. But anyway, this is too low. So let's add some additional stuff. Like for example, we could do like bicep curl. What do we want for bicep curl? I don't know. But actually, let's also define a template for that. And 3x8. Let's do just like a regular double progression for bicep curl and other stuff. And let's say it could be 30 pounds. So this, unlike main, will stay the same for all the 3 weeks, right? So we could actually also repeat it across all the 3 weeks. And bicep curl, we could also repeat across all the 3 weeks. Let's change the order with squat. And this is so cool that we basically can define everything we want only in week 1, only in one place. And if we need to change it, we only need to change it in one place. So imagine you have not like a 3-week program, you have like 21-week program, like Stronger by Science programs, those like massive ones. It would be insane to kind of try to change anything across 21 weeks. So this like repeating syntax should help a lot. Let's add, I don't know, skull crusher, maybe with easy bar, 70 pounds. And we could basically do the same for the rest of the days. All right, so I added some exercises, and now the week volume per muscle group looks better. Mostly it's within around like 10 sets per muscle group. So now the program looks pretty good, but the problem here that when we finish the program, right? So when we finish, well, not the program, but when we finish the 3rd week and we basically start from the 1st week again, the 1 rep max will not increase automatically. So we'd have to increase it manually, which is, well, kind of annoying, right? I want to do like, I want app to do everything for me, even like increasing 1 rep max. So, but there's like no built-in progression for that. So we have to create our own custom progression. This is how we're gonna do that. So for main, we want to increase 1 rep max at the end of the 3rd week. So I do it like this. So there's like a built-in scripting language that I could use within Progress custom blocks. It's kind of similar to like Java or JavaScript or C or pretty much any programming language in the world. But it's way simpler. It only has like if-else's, it has very simple kind of loops and only numbers or like weights as units. And you could read more about that in the documentation for Liftoscript. But for now, let's just like write that if the week is the 3rd one, in that case, oops, I need to do this. So if the week is 3, then we update our 1 rep max by 5 pounds. And that's it. So we could try it out. Go to playground and yep, going to week 3. Oh, we actually need to add dates here because like we only have first date. But let's check here if we're gonna finish all of them successfully, or it actually doesn't matter because we don't check if we finished everything successfully. But if we finish all the sets, we see that our 1 rep max goes by 5 pounds higher. And if we finish that day, the weights will be increased. All right, yeah, so we need to add days for each week. Otherwise, they will not be populated by repeated exercises. So we're gonna do day 2, day 3. We can keep them empty because the exercises are repeated. And we're gonna copy it over to week 3. All right. So this works, but for example, what if we want to increase for deadlift, we actually want to increase 1 rep max by 10 pounds, and for bench press, we want to increase it by 5 pounds. Can we still kind of reuse the same template? So apparently, yes. For that, we need to parameterize our custom progression with like state variables. So state variable, we define it by typing here, for example, we call it increment. The name could be anything pretty much. And then we specify the default value, 5 pounds. And then here we do state dot increment. So it will increase 1 rep max by 5 pounds now. And for example, this works for squat, this works for bench, but for deadlift I want increasing by 10 pounds. So what I do, I type progress custom and I specify a different state variable for deadlift. And for example, it's going to be increment 10 pounds. And I'm gonna reuse the main progression. And that's it. So right now, if I finish deadlift, it should go up by 10. If I finish anything else, it should go up by 5. Let's see. So go to week 3, deadlift, enabling playground, done, 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 done. Huh, doesn't work. Oh, right, because it's week 1, we need week 3. Dum, 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 done. Going up by 10 pounds. Let's see for bench. Boom, 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 done. Going up by 5 pounds. Cool. All right, so it works. I could save it. All right, so this is pretty much it for now. There is more in Liftoscript, so you could go and check the documentation or maybe check the other videos that I hopefully gonna create soon. But this should be, I think, enough to create like 80% of different like weightlifting programs. So try it out, check out Liftosaur, and hopefully you're gonna like this app.